I just wanted to make sure that you listeners are listening to the Drapedomaniac podcast on doayamedia.com. You are, right?
Peace, family, and welcome again to the Drapedomaniac podcast. This is our Yapo Yapa, the HDIC, that is, the head Drapedomaniac in charge. And we're here to have conversations on how to get off this plantation. There's a thing people used to say a long time ago on television and movies. They would say, flattery will get you nowhere. Unfortunately, though, it seems that with our people, flattery will get you everywhere. Though through no fault of our own, our people are easy and we're cheap. What do I mean by that? As a people, we're easily taken advantage of, we're easily duped and conned, and easily bought. Just hearing that said may insult or infuriate some of you, and I understand you're feeling that way, but getting mad at me for saying it doesn't change the truth of the statement. I'm not trying to be insulting. I'm talking about myself also. For black people, it's a constant battle to not be taken advantage of. How did this happen? Is it because we're inherently naive or gullible? Far from it. Anything that's experienced by our people from within this construct, especially black people in the United States who are descendants of enslaved Africans, has a context, and I mean everything. We all know a woman or a man who all their life they may have grown up being told they were a nobody, or that they were nothing and had nothing going for them, and that they were ugly and dumb, less than, and so on. The more they're consistently told that, at some point, it begins to internalize within them. And then they start displaying behaviors that are either self-defeating or self-destructive. They hold little value on themselves and conversely start to see others as being something more than they are or better than they are. And then in steps the user. They see this person is hurt and damaged and has a low self-esteem and low self-image. And do they say, let me do something to help this person lift themselves up and out of this negative image that they have for themselves? Of course not. They say, now this is somebody I can use to my full advantage. Whether it's for money, sex, fame, or any number of reasons, they know all they have to do is start showing this person the slightest amount of kindness, which on their part, on the part of the user, is completely insincere. And they start telling them everything that they want to hear. That person will become putty in their hands that they can just use and manipulate to defend their honor, the user to the death, and to turn on anyone who genuinely cares about the person who's being used and tries to help them or to warn them. And so you have our people, flooded by frauds, charlatans, pimp preachers, phony pro-blacks, conscious community hustlers, lying politicians, toxic celebrities, social media climbers, wannabe gigolos, gold diggers, and the list goes on and on and on. And why? Because they see that black people as a collective, and especially black people in America, are hurt and wounded by centuries of brainwashing that we're the lowest of the low. The worst people on earth, criminals, drug addicts, uneducated, weak-minded, drunks who are descended from slaves and have no past and no future because we don't even know where we come from. So, to be invited to the barbecue, you don't even have to do anything for us. All you have to do is act like you don't hate us, and we're collectively ready to say, we'll take it. Show a viral video of some white cop or elected official doing a few lame dance steps or playing basketball with some of our black children. Say you carry hot sauce in your purse, or that you like listening to Tupac, and you're in. Take every opportunity to name drop that you were the VP for the first black-ish president, even though you were one of the people directly responsible for the mass incarceration of black people in the United States, among other things. And an envoy of smiling black people will personally hand you an invitation to the barbecue. We have been taught so thoroughly to hate ourselves that coming to the defense of one another is becoming almost out of the question, and in some circles ridiculed and met with harsh criticism and insults. A black woman who defends black men is castigated as a mammy mule or a pick-me. A black man who defends our black women are condemned as thirsty or simps. While simultaneously we extol the virtues of the people who have historically terrorized us in a million different ways and continue to do so unapologetically. A black man or a black woman gets one chance, maybe two, maybe none, to screw us over, and they're canceled. White people can make a career out of oppressing and abusing our people on purpose, with purpose, and we're willing to, if not insistent upon, spending our entire lives seeking to reason with them, or to get them to understand our pain, or to make them like us, or to make them stop hurting us, or to stop killing us, or to at least let us in. No matter how much they dog us, cheat us, ignore our tears, mock us, and even kill us for nothing, we yet seek to be with them and to hold them up above our people. Whereas all one of us has to do is say or do something wrong on social media that could just be a matter of misinterpretations, and we're canceled. I'm still talking about the same thing. I'm talking about the we of me, the we of you. As an individual, when someone feels of little worth, they are always seeking to be validated by others. If you take black people as a whole and combine us all into one psyche, then it amounts to a single individual who feels he or she has little worth and sees the person, taking white people and combining them into one psyche. And that is the individual form who our collective is seeking the validation. And I really hope you understand what I'm talking about. I don't mean that all black people are alike and that we are a monolith, as Biden basically said. I know each individual is separate. That isn't what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about peoples. As a people, our people are wounded and we are easy marks. No, not every individual black person falls for it. I'm talking about us collectively. That is why a black person can receive 1 million awards and accolades from black people and black organizations, and all of that stuff will sit in a dark cobweb corner of the attic gathering dust. But their single award from a white organization will be displayed so prominently on their mantle that it looks like a shrine. It's because we're wounded. But what about black people who are easily taken in by black leaders and black gurus? Oh yes, them. I used to take in a lot of black social media, but now not so much. Because it's like moving the dial in an old car looking for a radio station. Static. These dusty beta male coons ain't shit. Static. That's why black men don't need to be out here messing with these ratchet ass hoes. Static. That's why as Christians, we know there's only one race, the human race. Static. And see, that's the problem with these black women. You need to find a nice mixed woman or go to Brazil and find a static. That's why I don't mess around with none of these broke ass niggas. Static. And it just never ends. It's interesting to me that when we're dogging each other out, these channels or social media accounts are allowed to flourish and grow. But those that promote black love and black unity for real are shadow banned, suppressed, or silenced altogether. But wait, there are a lot of channels out there that teach about unity with our people and our glorious past and our greatness. What's wrong with that? Nothing at all. If they mean it. Again, if a user is going to someone they know is wounded and telling them everything they want to hear, it isn't that what they're saying isn't inherently true, but the motivation, their motivation for doing it, is destructive. If I met a woman who'd been told that she's ugly all her life and that she's worthless, and I found her to be beautiful and of great worth, and started treating her as such, and we became assets to each other, there are few things more beautiful and powerful than that. But what if my goal was just to get laid, and to get her money, or whatever she has, and then use her like a maid? What then? Are the truths I told her any less true? No. But since my motivation is to use her, and I'm not sincere, then my personal actions are not going to line up with what I'm telling her. And because of human nature, we all have seen this, all of us. When you try to warn her about what a low-down snake I really am, not only will she defend me, and it will reinforce her loyalty, especially if I'm still feeding her a line and stringing her along expertly, then she's going to attack you and maybe even start hating you for speaking against me, the person who is validating her. Eventually, she's going to discover the real me, and it always happens, sometimes sooner, sometimes much later. But when she does, not only will she lose faith in herself once again, possibly, depending on how attached she is to me because of that narrative, but it could also very well make her first state worse than she was when she started. And worse yet, and this is the part that hurts me most, she will cling even more tightly to me because of either the embarrassment of having known that she has been totally duped and used, but not wanting to admit it, or because of creating an alternate narrative in her head that holds tight to the disingenuous quote-unquote truths I told her, and then rationalizing staying with me, or sadly having invested so much time mentally, physically, sexually, monetarily, and socially that she is at the point where she almost can't let go of the facade and just doubles down and retreats into a fantasy in which I'm still some kind of a prince. That is why I hold a particular disdain and contempt for people within our own community who take advantage of our people in any way. We are hurt enough without these opportunistic, morally bankrupt users harming our people. Yes, it is true. I have a deep love, concern, and honor for our people, but I have a raging contempt for those who do things that hurt our people, because it is equally, if not more so, destructive to us than when our enemy does it. Whether you take stock in what's written in the Bible, there is much wisdom in it to be found. And there's a particular passage written by King David in Psalms, I think it's Psalms 55, after being betrayed. It says, now this is the New International Translation. It says, if an enemy were insulting me, I could endure it. If a foe were rising against me, I could hide. But it is you, a man like myself, my companion, my close friend. Simply put, I can deal with my enemies attacking me and seeking to do all manner of evil against me. I expect that of my enemies. But you're supposed to be on my side, and I trusted you for that very reason. This is what makes betrayal so painful and causes so much rage, whether it's between a people or a family or committed couples. We expect people who hate us to do certain things to us, so it's no surprise when they do. And we can consistently seek ways to minimize our contact with them and or protect ourselves against them. But when we trust people who've gone out of their way to give us the impression that they can be trusted, then there are no words that can be put to the hurt or anger of being betrayed by them. Sometimes I seem to have more venom for our own people who are frauds than for white people who have and still nonstop terrorize us. Well, that isn't really accurate. But I do have a deep anger and disgust for our people who use our people for the very reasons that I stated before. And I don't see that ever changing. I understand that there's definitely a context, and that, like Neely Fuller says, we are all on the same slave ship. We may just be on different parts of it, but I will never condone wrong actions toward our people, whatever the reason and whoever does it. but that is the mess that we've been handed. I digress. Our people are easy marks. What can we do about it? Learn our true history and embrace it, the nobility of our people, the struggles, determination, and creativity of our people. Start deprogramming ourselves every chance we get. Meaning when we see these negative images of ourselves, we close our minds to it and understand that that is not us by nature. It is by conditioning. That doesn't mean that we lie and say these things don't exist among our people, but there are reasons that we are like we are, and that is not of our creation and not natural for us. Equally, question everything you see in terms of quote-unquote white saviors on television or movies. Black men with white women, black women with white men in media. Don't ask yourself, why do I see so much of that? Ask yourself, why does the media refuse to show intact black relationships and families? Why is it that when I see an unambiguously black woman, she's either with a white man or she's a lesbian? Or when I see a black man, he's either presented as a thug or gay, or if he is successful, he's with a white woman, or a biracial woman, or a woman who's DNW. Why is it that when we see black women and black children, it's like that child was born through immaculate conception, as in the movie Captain Marvel, where not only was there no black father around or even mentioned, but there was not even a picture of him. When you listen to quote-unquote influencers on social media, are they speaking in uplifting ways about our people? Are they calling our people the M-word? Are they consistently beefing with others of our people? Are they referring to our beautiful black women as ratchet or hoes? Do they refer to our black ancestors as bed wenches? When these black women and black men had no power over their situation, and were actually being repeatedly raped, even if it was so-called willingly having sex? Ask yourself this. How does one have any freedom within a closed system in which they are in danger at all times? How dare these frauds call our men and women ancestors bed wenches and bed bucks? How dare they? They don't even know if they might own their own existence or that of their children on these quote-unquote bed wenches or bed bucks who did what they had to do within a situation over which they had zero control, and their only alternative was possibly to die. Again, I digress. It's just that level of disrespect for our enslaved ancestors just makes me particularly angry. Definitely listen to those who are about the advancement, education, and uplift of our people, but equally examine their motives. Even me. Look at their body of content, and at times think deeply on what they're saying. And what I mean by that is examine that if you wrote down what they were saying on paper, and you saw just the words and had no idea who was saying them, all you see is words, you might be surprised. There are many of our people I've listened to who, if I just took their words without knowing who said them and wrote them down on paper, or I just read them on paper, with absolutely no idea who said it, I would think that those words were said by one of the most black us-hating racists on the planet. Some of our own people very well hide their actual contempt and self-hate for our people behind pro-blackness by saying things like, I'm just keeping it real, or that's just the truth about our men and women, or some of our people aren't worth saving or need to be taken out. When you hear that coming from someone who claims to be for our people, then you may want to examine what they're talking about a little bit more closely, and whether it is us they are for, or if it's themselves that they are for at our expense. Finally, when it comes to the barbecue, there is no white person who will ever be a substitute for our own people. Just because they know the right things to say, or they even admit that they understand their privilege, or what have you. It is all about talking to a people they know is broken and are wounded, and seeking to matter, as the slogan says. I don't tell white people Black Lives Matter because, frankly, I couldn't care less whether they think our lives matter or they don't. Maybe to the degree that they stop killing us in the streets indiscriminately, which they're not going to stop doing, by the way. When our people are carrying those signs, they should face them toward our own people and instill in us that our lives matter as individuals and as a collective, that we must learn to love ourselves. We should seek as our highest good, loving ourselves. What would be the result of this? We will honor and respect each other. We will go out of our way to do no harm to each other. We will marry each other. We will desire to see ourselves in our children. We will seek the best for each other. We will protect each other. We will not so easily be manipulated. We will not so easily be duped or used because we are not seeking validation. We will define our own standards for what's right and wrong and what success looks like. We will see the beauty and worth in each other. We will speak to each other with honor and respect. We will speak of each other with honor and respect. We will not accept negative stereotypes that are fed to us by another people who hate us and seek to manipulate us. We will do business with each other. We will laugh and cry together because your joy will be my joy. Your pain will be my pain. Jealousy will fade. Envy will fade. We'll no longer behave like quote unquote crabs in a barrel because we will no longer be in a barrel and behaving unnaturally. And just as with any person who knows who they are, their value, and knows their worth, no one will be able to come up to us with slick lines or manipulation to get our money, our time, our energy, or loyalty. They will have to come correct. If we become like that person who knows who they are and are secure in that knowledge, if they try to tell us we're worthless or useless or the worst people on earth who can't do without them, we won't even pay it any attention and dismiss their lies out of hand. And since that didn't work, if they try to get us by saying, hey, you are so fine, and we can tell that they're just trying to flatter us to get what we have, collectively as a people, before turning around to walk away from them, we'll look at them and say, I know. Thank you for listening to this edition of the Drapetomaniac Podcast. This is Ayapo Yapa, the HDIC, that is, the head Drapetomaniac in charge, wishing you peace and blessings, sanity, safety, and separation. Until next week at this same time. And until then, I'll see you on the run.
And thank you again for listening to the Drapetomaniac Podcast. Tune in next week at doiamedia.com. DOIAMEDIA.com. And again, we'll catch you on the run. Peace.